best friend.
Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and get this started. So first, before I look at your op.gg, I want you to go ahead and ask me like any questions you have, like anything you're not sure about that you were planning on asking me once you got in here, maybe. Maybe like a matchup or something, or anything about items or runes. When you need to do something, just any general questions you have. I mean, they'll come up while we're doing the lesson, but if there's anything on your mind now.
I'm not really sure what to build.
What to build?
Yeah, like I don't know. It all depends on mashup, etc. But like I don't know if I should build Sterix Gauge or Guardian Angel before. Or...
Yeah, that was actually the same exact problem the last person I coached had. I'm actually gonna go pull up a screenshot I have. Actually, I can bring it up here.
Or if I should be like Ravenous Hydra, third
I'm
item.
gonna send this to you in Discord.
Do it, man.
So let me know when you have it open.
All right, now.
This is actually that's crazy. This is actually his exact first question, I believe, when when we got to this point. He was asking me, yeah, I do cleaver death stance every game, you know, just the standard. But what do I do after that? Because it's not always the same thing. You can do the same thing, but if you really want to be optimal, you know, you gotta know how to build for the game. And so it's not easy to understand when something is the best option, especially when they're all pretty similar. They all deal damage. They all give you AD. They all give you a little bit of tanky stats for the most part. But when is one better than the other? You see in parentheses, I ordered them from the most common to the least common to build. And the top three are the ones you're pretty much going to be rotating through pretty much every game. And it's not even just the third item. All these items that are listed are pretty much going to be the only items you build for the rest of the game. You know, you will have some exceptions, but all these items are usually built. It's just the order that they're built in, right?
Yeah.
So Guardian Angel is probably the most likely third item to be built, and the time between Guardian Angel and Sterix Gauge, what do you think is like the biggest factor in it? There's a couple factors in it, but what do you think are like the biggest factors like in the differences between the two items? When do you build one over the other?
To be honest, I don't really know, but I would guess like Guardian Angel lets me play more aggressive, do more plays, and get revived.
Okay. Well, there's three different things. And let take a note of this. I'm gonna write this down too for the future. Guardian Angel versus Sterix Gauge. I'm also gonna stream this. I want to stream this in Discord. Let me move this to another channel. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. There's three things that come to my mind when I think of the differences between Sterix Gauge and Guardian Angel. Guardian Angel obviously has the revive. What the revive is important for is for team fights. If you're split pushing with a Guardian Angel and you die in a 1 versus 2, you're most likely just going to die as soon as you come back. Because they're going to have their CC layered, they can time it as soon as you get out of the GA. That's when you usually don't want to have the GA over the Sterix Gauge. In a 1 versus 2 fight, if you're trying to split push, that's where Sterix Gauge is going to be, I'm trying to figure out how I want to like layer this. Sterix Gauge has better base stats, and that's going to be better for split pushing. That's all Sterix Gauge is. Sterix Gauge is just a big ball of stats. GA is not stat efficient. It has like 40 AD for 2,800 gold. Um, Whereas Sterix Gauge, you get like, I don't know, you might get like 70 AD. I don't remember the exact amount, but also the health is worth more than the armor. You also get like you get the health shield. You know, that's all stuff. GA, all it has is 40 AD and like and some armor on it. It's not that great stat wise. But that does bring me to another point where GA is also strong, is that it's a cheap. It's just a cheap power spike. It's 400 less gold in the Sterix, which might not seem much, but if you back with 2,800 gold and you're ahead, you're like an entire item ahead of everybody else. And this is when you want to force a team fight. So with the yeah, this is a terrible way for me to layer this, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. But basically, GA is a great team fight item because of the revive, but because it's also a cheap power spike, it's the same idea. You want to be forcing a team fight while you have a big lead over everybody else. Whereas Sterix Gauge, if you're trying to split push, you're not trying to get into a team fight. Maybe they have a really good team fighting comp. You just want to keep taking people on one by one, or even like a 1v2, one versus three. You want to split push. That's where Sterix Gauge is going to be a bit better. I typically don't recommend the GA as much in like lower rank, but you're implied. I'm talking about like under plat. People just get caught out too much. The GA is definitely a great item for Riven. Once you stop suiciding with the passive, because then the item is garbage. It's garbage for the next 5 minutes while you're waiting for the revive to come back up, and that's where Sterix Gauge is going to be more useful. And Sterix is generally an item you want to go for like in lower ranks, so just big balls of stats. Just make you seem a lot stronger. The GA has like hidden stats. You know, this revive, those are hidden stats. The reason the revive is so important in a team fight is because it's stalling time for your team to do damage. You can, if you're carrying the team, like you're the one that's fed, if you don't have the revive, you can't just dive into everybody because they're all going to focus you and you're going to die, and then your team's going to die because they're useless. That's what happens when you're fed. You can't just die. Even if you kill two people, a lot of times you still end up losing because you're the only one that's fed, right? And we're worried about carrying games. But with the revive, you can actually jump on the carry, and then if you 1-for-1 them, or maybe get 2-for-1, and then your revive gets popped, then that whole time their enemy team is still worried about you, but they also have to worry about the enemy team. They're like, okay, how do we have to wait a few, like 4 seconds for this revive to come up. In the meantime, we're dealing with the enemy team hitting us. And then usually what will happen is, because you ended up killing somebody, your team is able to slowly push up while your revive is coming back up, and then you can get out after you revive, or maybe you can go back in depending on how well your team did. That's why the GA is really good at team fight. It's not as great for split pushing because it's not as much stats. You're more likely just to get popped, and then you'll usually end up just dying anyways, because that'll give more time for like another person to come up while you're by yourself. I mean, if you're doing like a 2 versus 2, that's fine. But if you don't have any teammates around, that GA is not going to be very useful. So that's the main difference between these two items. This is going to be your most likely third item. With the moral reminder, the moral reminder is going to be another super common one, especially nowadays. It'll probably fall off in the meta eventually if they change the way healing is going on in this meta. It's just everybody has healing, everybody has conquer, everybody has death dance because it's broken. You know, there's just every champion has healing in their kit now. And it just synergizes with the Ravenous Hunter and Domination Tree, and I mean, the taste of blood doesn't matter too much, but it goes to show everybody is just stacking. Everybody's just stacking so much healing, and so Grievous wounds are extreme. I know so much. It's so much more common to build Grievous wounds than it used to be. You used to never see Executioner's Calling be built unless it was like 4th or 5th item and they had a Mundo, and that was it. Granted, it didn't really. It took a while for it to build Mercurial Scimitar, but the more reminder is even better than it used to be. Not only because of the Grievous ones, but they also upped the stats on it. Not super long ago. I can see when they did it. Um, it was. I mean, it's been a little bit, but 8 point or 9.3 and 8.11 were the big changes. This change when they changed it to total armor penetration, and then they made it go up by 5 AD. That and Lord Dominic's regards. Both items are pretty strong now. They used to be pretty useless unless you're against like a full tank team, but now it's honestly a really great buy that you can build into a lot of comps, and you usually end up starting with the executioners anyways. So
Yeah.
the Lord Dominic's regard. I mean, sorry, the more reminder is going to be when they have a decent amount of armor and they have healing, which is a lot more common than you would think. I'm talking they have like 3 different healers. Like, let me look in your op.gg and I'll tell you if I can find one. Okay, right here. If this Kane, your very last game, if this Kane went red Kane, that plus Darius plus Yasuo. See, Yasuo used to not heal that much, but now he has Conquer and he has Death Dance. And sometimes they go Bork. Sometimes they do Bork and Death Dance. I don't know what he built this game. But let's see. Well, he didn't do it either, but he was probably building Death Dance third. They usually build DD third. Sometimes people build Bork too. But yeah, that's 3 conquerors on the enemy team. Xayah will have a bit of lifesteal in her kit, but mainly the Kane, Red Kane just heals so much, and that is what he did this game. So this would have been an item. I don't know about the Tear of the Goddess, not the most efficient item, but I'm sure it has its place. Granted, you didn't make it there anyways. You still need to get 2 items. Maybe they got an early Red Kane. Sometimes they build executioners while in the middle building Death Dance. That's for you to kind of decide. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of games where you would end up doing it. Not really this one here. This one, I would probably go Sterix Gauge. Although the last Whisper isn't bad against Ornn. It's just if they had any other kind of tanky person, I would have done it here too. Although maybe you would have
I
looked for Lord Dominic's Regard instead, because they don't really have
I,
much healing here.
I took cut down versus Ornn. Should I do that or should I like take Last Stand or something for
Um,
try?
I wouldn't do cut down because Riven actually does build a decent amount of health. She builds Doran Shield, so while you build Doran Shield, uh, it's going to be useless until he builds any health items, and then you end up building Cleaver too as your first item. And so your cut down takes forever, especially with Sterix Gauge. Actually, with Sterix Gauge, the only person it does anything against is the Ornn, and that's only like way later into the game. So no, it's actually terrible here. Um, and maybe if you were doing like lethality build, but lethality build isn't very good right now. Cut down is a really good rune. It's just Riven can't really utilize it too well. Maybe if you started longsword with it, you could get a little bit of use out of it in the early game. I'm not sure of the math on it. Um, if she could use it, she would. I mean, that's pretty much anybody. It's a really strong rune if you're able to use it well. Um, I kind of want to try building against like Scion if they have any other person builds health, because I know Scion gets a ton of health off of his passive. So it'd probably be pretty good versus him, but most of the time I wouldn't end up doing it. I would just take Last Stand. But I like the thinking. Granted, I was gonna say Last Whisper is a nice little third item against Ornn usually because he gets so much armor. Between Mortal Reminder and Mortal Reminder and Lord Dominic's Regard, most of the time I'm going to be building Mortal Reminder, like I said with this meta, but there are some times where they don't have any healing really, and Lord Dominic's Regard will be better. It's just most of the time it's not. Don't get baited by that 10% armor penetration. It is really strong, but usually the healing is going to matter more. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Those are going to be your pretty much like 95% of games. Guardian Angel, Sterix Gauge, or Mortal Reminder. Those are going to be your most common third items. And after that, it's usually just going to be another one of them. And after that, it's usually going to be one of the other one of the other ones. These are usually pretty much just going to be your next 3 items after your first 2. But there are some times where you might want to get a different one, like Ravenous Hydra. Ravenous Hydra is pretty good if you're snowballing and you can afford to go damage and lifesteal. It's not super common because especially once you get to higher rank like Platinum Plus, they will start building executioners more often. or just Grievous wounds in general, you have to check how many executioners do they have and how many Morel Nomicons they have. Most people aren't building Morel Nomicon that often these days, but there are some champions where it's like it's their only item. They build it every time. Maybe like Shyvana Jungle builds Morel Nomicon if they go AP. Uh, I can't name a ton of people off my head. Maybe Diana does it. Nah, I don't know. There's definitely some people that build. You know they're going to build Morel Nomicon to build. Like Karthus. Karthus is a good one. So him. You look at Morel Nomicons, you look at Executioners. Obviously, but most AD carries can build Executioners without a problem. But some people don't really care for it. Like Vayne prefers to rush or board Gwynsis because she's useless without it. A lot of those Kaisa doesn't like to build Executioners that early. A lot of those mixed damage carries don't like to rush it. So that's kind of what you have to determine whether it's going to be worth or not. If they have 2 or more Grievous wounds, usually it's not going to be worth it. But that's where the extra damage for snowballing can be nice if you don't need the tanky stats. You know, the reason it's not going to be as common as the other ones is because these make you a little bit tankier. And Mortal Reminder is also cheaper. Ravenous Hydra is very expensive, but it is a lot of damage and it's a lot of lifesteal. So if you can get away with that, it will end up being the more optimal choice. Bloodthirst is very similar. It's not as common as Ravenous Hydra, but there are some times where it's like Ravenous Hydra, where I can afford to spend a lot, I can get damage, I can get lifesteal, but I might want that shield. I might want that little extra shield to survive in team fights. With Ravenous Hydra, obviously you don't have any tanky stats. Bloodthirster is like the in-between between getting the damage and lifesteal Ravenous Hydra, while not being as squishy. You know, you sacrifice a little bit of damage, but you get a little bit tankier. Obviously, Mercurial Scimitar. I have that actually under Bloodthirst. I don't really like to build the item too much because it's not very stat efficient. But there are times, you know, if they have Malzahar and you're the only fed person, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just gonna have to suck it up and get a QSS. A lot of times, I don't even finish the Mercurial Scimitar until later. I'll just get QSS and then finish one of my other items. Um, let's see. All right. Do you have any other questions about the items, or you want to move on to something else?
No, not about the items, but just in general, I struggle a lot versus tank matchups. Have a
Like
really hard time.
which ones?
Like Malphite and sometimes Ornn.
Okay. Anybody else? Maokai?
Not so much Maokai, to be honest. I
Yeah.
just rush anti-heal item and then like it gets much easier.
Yeah, that's why I always ask people. People tell me they have problems with tanks as Riven, and I'm like, okay, well, which tanks? Because everyone's different, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have problem with Poppy, but that's not because she's tanky. It's because she knocks me off if I dash and I'm grounded, and she throws me into a wall. It's not about her being tanky usually. Like I don't have a problem with Malphite. I don't really have a problem with Maokai, honestly. Uh, Ornn can be a problem sometimes. I usually don't have a problem with them, but I can definitely see how people would. Um, let's see.
I
With
felt
the
like I should kill him early, but the thing is,
no, a
I don't
lot of
know.
times you can't kill them early. If they're playing safe, you can't. So you got to figure out what to do. What to do around that. With Malphite, Malphite's not that bad of a matchup. Um, he he can make it to where you can't kill him, but he shouldn't be able to kill you either. And you should be able to out pressure him early because Malphite. A lot of the Malphite matchup has to do with what you have to pay attention to what runes he goes and what item he starts with. You need the most important things. What are the most common Malphite runes? I think we have. There's like 3 that they only ever go, which is
Comet and Grasp, I think.
Comet, Grasp, or Aftershock. Um, Comet means he has Mana Flow Band, and with Comet he's going to have a little extra lane presence. That's all it is. It's early game. It's him, and that's usually what they're going to do if they're going to go AP. They're going to take the Arcane Comet. Though a lot of them just take it so that they're not useless in lane, because if you don't go Mana Flow Band, you run out of mana really fast. Um, And the comment is to make him a little bit stronger in lane. That's going to be the one that's probably hardest for you to deal with. The other one's going to be grasp, and a lot of times they will go grasp and take mana flow. Like I said, they need to they need to have some type of if they have mana flow, that's the only way they're going to have any type of lane presence versus you. Otherwise, they're just going to run out of mana too fast, and that's what you're going to play around. But a lot of times they end up going grasp or aftershock and inspiration. They just go with the full tank, just grab a little extra CDR and some boots, try to just farm up, and then be more useful than you later. Um, you also need to see what they start with. Probably the most two common ones are going to be Doran Shield and Corrupting Potion. The Doran Shield will be a little bit better at fighting you a little bit earlier, like if you're actually going to like a full trade, but the Corrupting Potion is going to be better at poking. And that's usually what's going to get you. So if they take Doran Shield and don't take mana flow, you automatically win lane. Because all you need to do is make sure you don't all in him. Like, you just need to wait till he runs out of mana. You need to burn his mana, but don't do full fights. If you do full fights, that's where he gets you, especially after he uses his E. Obviously, you want to try to E his. You need to shield his little Qs if you can. But what you need to do in this matchup, most importantly, no matter what he builds, is you need to try to push him towards his turret. Because Malphite isn't that great at last hitting under turrets. He doesn't have that much lane push early, and that much wave push to push to your turret. And if he is under turret, a lot of times he's using mana to try to get last hits, so that's bringing his mana down even further. And Malphite without mana is completely useless. So that's your job, is to try to push him under turret. If he has comment, he has mana flow, and he's pushing you under your turret, then that's like the only time he's going to be annoying to you in the early game. Just make sure you're doing short trades with him, just your normal QW auto, and then get out of there. If you can shield his E on the way out or shield his Q, then that's great. And just wait for your spells to come back up. Try to keep the lane pushed if you can. Obviously, watch out for a jungle gank. But Malphite pre-6, you shouldn't even be afraid of a jungle gank. You just walk away. The only problem is if you're like under his turret and you just use all of your abilities to poke him. But that's something you have to be careful of. If you don't have any decent ward out, then maybe don't use all your abilities under turret. You're usually not. Maybe in the early game, if you get him under his turret early and you get some nice trades early, you can try poking him under turret. But a lot of times, what you need to be doing is you need to be pressuring the map. So let me try pulling up like a little map.
Do you start longsword versus Malphite, or?
I like to start actually anything. Doran. I used to go Doran Shield because there was a time where Malphite actually was being a little useful early. They were always taking the Arcane Common mana flow. And for whatever reason, he just felt a little bit stronger before, but now I never have a problem with him. Recently, what I've been doing is I've been taking Doran's Blade, and I've been taking the Lifesteal Rune, and usually I just lifesteal through his poke. I mean, obviously, I try not to fight him too much. I just keep auto-attacking minions and try to push the lane as much as I can, and then I end up like I said, just sustaining through his poke and then leaving. I think Doran's Blade used to be terrible in the Malphite, but because Riven got 2 health regen buffs, I think he can get away with it now. Before, he would just poke you out lane so fast that Doran's Blade felt completely useless. You can maybe try that out. You do have to play aggressive with it because you need to be lifestealing against the minions a lot. But obviously it's going to scale better than the Doran Shield. And the Longsword is completely fine. I really think you could start anything, because the good thing about Longsword is that you can rush Cleaver a little bit faster. I think Malphite is like one of the few matchups where you might want to rush straight Cleaver, especially if you're not getting hit. Like if you're not getting a CS lead on him and you know he's going full tank, then you might just want to go straight into a Cleaver, because
not even Warhammer before?
That's what I'm saying. With Malphite, if you know he's going straight armor and you're not getting a decent enough lead on him, then even when you have Warhammer Kindle Gem, you will not deal damage to him. You just will. I've had that happen. I was like so surprised. I would do like two perfect combos, just a full combo with my ult, and he wouldn't even be a quarter health. So it was pretty crazy. That's why I was like, okay. I still do Warhammer sometimes, but that's because I usually don't play for the straight up solo kill and lane as much as I used to. And a lot of it depends on which side I am. If I'm blue side, you can do so much in their jungle. Just push after you push up in the lane, compared to being on the I guess purple. I'll call blue and purple. Blue is like the bottom left side, is what I'm calling, and purple call like the top right. There's like if you're on purple side when you push up, there's not as much to do in their jungle. Just the way it's layered, you're more likely to die. But let me show you. So, are you looking at my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pull up the League of Legends map. Okay, so if you are, can I put this in the paint? Let's see. I haven't really messed with paint too much, but alright, how do I do this? So if you're blue side and you're pushing the Malphite, you can push them in a turret, and then you can run through here. Do you know what the modx word is?
No, what is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
After like your first back, if you can get a control ward, this bush right here is the best ward you can get in my opinion. And like so many ranks, I mean it's kind of hard to see, but like right here,
Yeah.
this is what I call the modx ward. It's the same thing on the other side, but obviously you usually don't get to it until later in the game, especially if you're starting on this side. And but with this ward, you will see when their jungle comes up through here, goes to Krugs. If they're coming from base and they're going to Krugs, if they're going to base and coming to red buff, they might run to the bush, but usually they just don't. And you'll see them come from this way. You just see you get so much information on the jungler for 75 gold, and it's not likely to die. You don't have to keep investing in control wards if they get killed. Obviously, sometimes a control ward here can be nice for setting up a jungle gank, but I usually don't care about that too much. I like to kill the jungle. That's where I like the snowballs. I like messing with the jungler. Especially with Malphite, if you can just keep them pushed under turret, you can proxy this wave right here, and then what you can do is you can take either of these camps. Besides this pink ward right here, I like to put a yellow trinket right here when I get a chance, if I can play up, which is a lot of these tank matchups. When I'm talking about Malphite, I'm talking like all these tank matchups that don't have good wave clear. Because what happens is you just keep them stuck under the turret. You don't even fight them because a lot of times they're hard to kill until you get your cleaver. So just don't worry about it. Snowball in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So you proxy this wave, and then you can take a camp and go back to catch the next wave. You can go and take this camp, go back. If you know their junglers nearby, you just I'll usually end up taking this raptor camp first if I can, and then with the control or with the ward right here, I'll see them walking up, and then I just ult them and kill them. I can't tell you how many times I've done that and how many games it's won. Because not only is it a free kill, it tilts their jungler and they get pissed.
Yeah,
And that's
makes
why I
sense.
prefer that over killing top. Because I mean, killing top obviously they get a little tilted, but killing their jungler, you gotta imagine when a jungler walks to his jungle and their top laner is sitting there, not only killing them but taking their cams. They are immediately flaming uh, their top laner. Leva, I put the ward is right here. Sorry, I was like chat real quick. He was wondering right here in this bush. So you can see them walking through here to the Raptors.
But
Um,
can you like show like a fast way to take golems?
yeah. Like you
Yeah.
want me to go on like practice tool real quick and show you like how I like to combo them, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
exactly.
What's more important? I will do that. What's more important is to figure out how to clear waves fast. It's incredibly important. I stress that a lot. Knowing how to clear waves as fast as possible is Riven, because every single auto attack is just taking a lot of time. Where their jungler walked to a bush. If you're like a few seconds late, that's gonna be one less kill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me do this.
What is broken can be reforged.
Okay. The most important thing with not only camps but the wave 2 is to focus the big minion, and that seems like a simple concept, but a lot of people don't understand it. So let's see, what are we gonna? Let's just get I'm trying to think what will be the common. Okay, so let's just say we have this, right? Warhammer Kindle Gem. Okay, we'll have another long sword, and we'll be level 7. I think that's fair. Alright, so we get in here, we push the Malphite to the turret. He's over here, right? Well,
Holy shit, it's really bad quality for me.
really bad quality? Maybe it's because I'm streaming from my monitor. Let me try streaming the actual game. Let's try this. Is this looking better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. So anyways, we oh my god, I have 185 ping. Okay, maybe I need to move back to the NA server. People ask you why I don't like to play on the US. Alright, I don't know if I'll really be able to show you with the 185 ping, but I'm gonna try my best here. If not, I can just move to the other server. But basically, okay, so we got Malphite. He's killing our wave here. We get to this wave, Q to the whole thing, walk through it so you can Q back and hit every minion, stun, and then Q again. You know what I'm saying? That's like the main concept, is I just auto attack once, I Q through. I need to get them all grouped together, because I want my Q and my W to hit all the minions. That's what's important, right?
Yeah.
I want to fast forward 2 minutes, those minions are incredibly weak. I don't know if this is too much. Alright, so let me try. What the fuck? The game just broke. Okay, let me try this. Okay, so the minions are coming. Let me try doing the same thing against these. Because this is what some people need to practice. I mean, I never really recommend practicing it, but it's so important. And I didn't realize how bad people were at just doing a simple wave clear until I watched them. They don't understand the concept of hitting as many things as you can with your abilities. You see how like I'm queuing through all these, stunning them, and immediately hitting them. You know, you see how fast that is? I can show you what other people do. That's bad. But anyways, what like you were asking about the Krugs. It's the same concept. Focus the big one while also hitting the small one. So just do this. You see, I'm just slowly like I'm hitting the small one, but I'm not worried about it because it's going to die to my AoE later anyways. Obviously, you want to try to stun to cancel the auto attack so you're not taking so much damage from them. But it's mostly important just to make sure you're hitting all the big ones first and killing the small things with your AoE.
Alright.
And it's the same thing with Raptors. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, especially if you're jungling, but when it comes to you want to save some type of AoE for the last little bit. When there's like 6 small Krugs, you don't want to auto attack every single one. It takes up so much time. But anyways, this is how some people will do it. This is what I usually see. They do this. You see how they just kill all the melees? Oh no, and then sometimes they'll do this. They'll just kill these casters, and then they'll kill the cannon last. I'm like, why are you killing the cannon last? It's like, you spend all this time killing the small ones, and then I have to use all my abilities just to kill the cannon again. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that. You always focus never like focus the casters first. Always focus the melees and just kill the casters with your abilities while you're hitting the melees. You see how the casters just died in AoE? It's so important to know how to do that. Like I said, it seems simple to me, but you know, people don't do it. Now, Raptors is the same concept if you're fed enough. Obviously, hit the big bird if you can. But in the early game, and even you know at this point where sometimes I'm you know, if I leash or if I proxy here and I run to their jungle and I'm taking Raptors, let me show on this one. A lot of times I don't actually have enough damage to one-shot the Raptors with my 3 Qs and W. The most important thing is to make sure they're leashed up. If they're not grouped up together, then you know you're not gonna hit on with your abilities. And obviously, you see me. I used every ability to get these. I didn't do the last Q because I wanted to show you that a lot of times if I don't have like this extra long sword, then what happens is I end up hitting. Let me spawn the raptor camp. I think I can do that, right? I can choose. Okay, spawn jungle camps. Okay. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot what I was gonna say. What was I talking about?
Stack them together, and you don't do enough damage sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot what I wanted to do though. I don't know. Okay, so a lot of times you have to actually end up killing the small ones first, because if they all get 1 health and you're focusing the big one, technically time-wise it will be faster. But if they're all 1 health, then all those birds are going to smack the shit out of you. Especially if you're early enough in the game and you don't have enough damage to kill the birds, they're going to hit you for like half your health. So you have to understand when you don't deal enough damage to kill all the birds in 1 hit. That's just something you're gonna have to experience yourself over time. And then if they do happen to get 1 health, don't continue hitting the big bird. You need to hit these small ones first. And this is what you have to do when you're jungling early a lot of times. If you're jungling Riven and you're like, you know, you're on like level 3 or something, you actually have to, you want to hit everything, but you need to be auto attacking the birds, just because those little birds will shit on you so hard. So be careful of that. Is there anything else you want me to show you in here?
I don't think so.
Alright, do you have any more questions, or are you ready to move on to the OPI GG review?
Is there like any setting you recommend I should use?
Obviously SmartCast, but I'm sure most people already use SmartCast.
Yeah.
There's I guess there's a few ones that I've used over time. I actually really like to use movement prediction, but not on Riven. So because I started streaming again, once I got unbanned, I actually ended up taking it off because obviously I play Riven all the time now. Is it gonna let me reconnect here? I guess not. I can go back in my settings real quick. One of the most important ones with Riven that I've ended up doing recently is taking auto attack off, and that's specifically for when I'm running through their jungle. Like I'm running away from their team, I'm trying to jump over a wall. I'll show you the situation. Yeah, let me just show you. Let me get there first. Target champions only ES. Thank you, Noah. That's another one I'll talk about. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm using that. So
Okay.
I'm kinda...
Alright, let's see. Okay, so what happens is I will be running away from here, right? Like I'm here and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. And then what happens is sometimes when I'm trying to line up through here, somebody hits these raptors because they hit me with an AoE. And then when I get hit by the raptors, if I go here and I have auto attack on, then it will auto attack a raptor right before, and then my Q will go the wrong way, and then I die. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes to focus the camp. Like a lot of times I end up stopping here. Like if I didn't perfectly time my S ability to stop right after I lined up here, then my character would turn around for a second and I Q the wrong way. That's happened way too many times, so I ended up finally taking it off. Obviously, target champions is only as insane if you don't already use it. You said you do though. Obviously,
Yeah.
I like that in a minion wave, and most importantly, I started using it
Tower
because of
dive.
this tower.
Yeah.
Because what happens is obviously somebody's behind this turret, and look at my Look at my right click. There's no way for me to hit him. The only way I can hit him, and I would do this for a while before I changed this setting. I would move my camera up here. I could see them. I could click on them behind the turret. But imagine how obnoxious that is. So that's why I was forced to use target champions only. I think this happened once the map got changed like years ago. With the ult turrets, I don't recall that being much of a problem, but it's like it goes so far up now. It's like it's just impossible to hit champions. You have to like go over here. This actually happens with the Baron Pit too, mainly with wards. You'll see people ward like here, and you can't click on it because the Baron's in the way. You know, so you have to like move your your map like this. But a lot of times champions will get behind in, so I'll use target champions over here too. You have to hold down the target champion only ability. I use that. You can change. I think you can do toggle. I don't know what you use.
Yeah, it's at game.
Yeah, I don't use toggle. Do you?
Yeah, I use.
Yeah, it's just a preference thing. You know, whatever you like. I like to just hold it down so I can immediately let go of it. But both are good. All right. Anything else? I think those are all the settings that I have that like matter, especially when it comes to like Riven. I don't think there's anything. Maybe I have. No, all this. I think all this is pretty standard. I don't use anything crazy except those that I just named. All right, I think we're finished here. Let's move on to your OpenGG and look at some of your builds and whatnot. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and stream my monitor again. Okay. Ignite versus Darius I think is fine, but if you are going to go Ignite, I would not recommend going Doran Shield because you need to be aggressive with Ignite, you need to get an early lead because of it. Doran Shield is usually like, I like to reserve it for lanes that I have to have it, and lanes that I just want to like farm up against, and I don't want to miss any minions from getting out sustained. So you can do those in a lot of those tanky matchups. That if you just want to scale, like you're taking sorcery and taking Transcendence Gathering Storm. I might take Doran Shield and even like Maokai or Ornn, and I just don't plan on fighting them pretty much. It's also a lot better in higher rank just because people don't die to you as much easily if you go like with the damage item, and usually just end up farming more. I wouldn't diss the Doran Shield except you win Ignite, and in this rank you need to go Longsword, you need to go Doran's Blade if you're going Ignite versus him. It's fine to go Doran Shield against Darius if you're going TP. Besides that, early refillable is good, although I don't know how you only got refillable at 3 minutes. That's
Yeah, I
not
died
great.
to a gank.
Yeah. Other than that,
After that, I was pretty much fucked after that.
yeah, there wasn't too much to look at here. The most important thing that I usually look for when I'm looking at builds from Riven is what they do on here. A lot of times they end up not taking tenacity when they need to, or they only ever take taking tenacity. These runes are the most situational rune, like the most situational line out of any runes. These are the ones you need to be looking at and champion select before every game and be like, okay, which is the best one for me here? Like here, this is one I would do tenacity. They have Cyrus Snare, Caitlyn Traps. It's so good against Caitlyn Traps. Fiora W, you know, not as important. It's not the best versus Fiora, but it can definitely help. And Fiddle Fear plus Fiddle Silence. So I'm gonna check to see if you have tenacity here. I imagine you probably don't. Oh, you do. That's awesome. That's really
You
good.
done goofed, man.
Yeah. I guessed wrong. I see people just take tenacity. I mean if I see one, I usually see it too much. Doran Shield is fine versus Fiora. Build path in general looks fine. I usually don't like to do executioners early, but I would do it since they had a Fiddlesticks too. I do think the execution is fine early, especially since Fiora is really strong right now. Definitely not going to diss on it. It's just like you said, there's just so much healing right now. Fiora, she's got Conqueror. She takes the Bloodline rune. She usually goes Doran Shield. She usually rushes a Vamp Scepter. I think it's completely fine. Um, yeah. Anyways, this all seems fine here. What you're doing. You even got a little control board. I didn't see where you placed it. Where do you like to place your control board when you're on red side?
Uh, I usually place it at the bush, at blue, on top.
Here?
No, other
Here.
bush. Yeah, there.
Good. That's where I like to put it. I really it's similar to this. It's more likely to be seen. I don't like it as much as this one, but obviously this is a bit hard to get to, and people check this bush a lot more often because it's pretty common to ward, but it's still just a really good ward spot. So I like that one, and I also like this pixel brush too, but I do like this one a little bit more. Um, so that's good. Where do you usually ward at right now if you are blue side? Most people just end
Um,
up warding this.
usually go there or I go the bush at the golems.
This one?
Yeah,
Okay.
or try bush.
It's honestly not that bad, but I think this is just a better version of it. I would really try to
Yeah,
get this ward off if you can.
I'm gonna start using
So
that
a
one.
lot of times I just even if I do want to fight them, I'll just end up pushing the lane once if I can, just so I can go get this down. And then it's one wave, and you get a super good control ward off. Um, and just you get having so much information on the jungler, like it really wins you games. That's why I've done this for like 2 or 3 years now. I don't know any other people who do this ward. I do this all the time. Because I've just won so many games off of knowing their junglers at Krugs. I say, hey jungler, come here for a counter gank. They're here, they're gonna come gank me. I know they just cleared everything over here. I know they're gonna look for a gank on me up here. Or I can be like, okay, I know they're just power farming. I saw they went through here to Krugs, and I know they're going to go to the Raptors next, especially if I have this warded. So I'll push lane, and I'll walk here, or I'll walk here, or I'll walk here, and then so many times I kill people because I just sit in this bush. I know I have it pinged. I know they don't have it warded, and as they run down here, I just kill them. Or a lot of times, if I don't know I don't have much time, I know they cleared this, and I know they're not going to gank me because they're power farm. Maybe it's like a Shyvana. What I'll do is I'll shove the lane, I'll run through here, and if a lot of times the enemy top laner will have this warded. That's okay because if they have it warded and I walk through here, the jungler backs off, right? Well, I don't know if you can see my mouse. If I walk through here, they're they're gonna see it off this ward and their jungler just backs off. But if you walk through here and you get this, go to this
Plant.
plant right here. Yeah, I charge my Qs, right? I stagger my Qs. 1Q, 2Q. I jump over this blast cone. I ER third Q the jungler and they die. At the very least, I get flash. But if I have flash too, usually I just chase them with flash and they die. A lot of it depends on which jungler it is, obviously, but it's pretty common. Obviously, it's not as good as if I can catch them in a bush, but those are there's just so much you can do with it. So that's like one of my main advice I try to give out. Okay. Let's see what you do here. This is where you cut down. What I've actually like to do more, um, is I actually like to put a couple points into W, especially into the tanky matchups where I'm proxying wave, because a lot of times I go to proxy that wave like I showed you before, and all the casters get to one hit each. Now it's not as bad as the birds where they deal half your health, but it's more about time. It's more about speed. Having the time of 3 extra auto attacks is it adds up is what I want to say. So if you put 1 or 2 extra points in W, a lot of times you can kill those casters without having to auto attack them again. And in general, your wave clear will be a little bit faster. If you're clearing camps, it'll be faster. E is usually going to be better if you're fighting or you're trying to run away or you're trying to chase somebody because it's more mobility, and that's why we max E second. But I do like to put a point or two in W, so you might want to try experimenting with that and see what you think.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another matchup where you do not want to go Doran Shield. Kled is somebody not only you can beat, but you beat him by building damage, and Doran Shield can really fuck you because the most the way you lose to Kled the most is you try to kill him in his mount, like his unmounted form, and then you're just shy away from killing him, and then he remounts, and then you're fucked because you used everything on trying to kill him. So you really want that extra damage, and you want to be able to jump on it. You don't want to be like, okay, I want to jump on him, I kill him, but I know I don't have enough damage because I've Doran Shield, and basically he slowly remounts, and that's basically him just using like 2 potions. You know what I'm saying? If you just give him a
Yeah.
free remount. So
But let's say I start Doran's blade,
yep.
and level 1 he hits his Q. Can I fight him then? Or like, should I just back off instantly?
You can fight him. You're going to lose a trade. I don't think you can just walk away. He's just gonna chase you. What you do need to do there is you need to as soon as he brings you back towards him, like I would walk away until the thing actually connects with you, but then right after he usually goes for an auto attack, right? Just auto Q, auto, and then end it with the Q. I used to have a bad habit that I fixed recently, where after the third Q, I would always end up auto attacking after. You know, that's just the standard Q combo, but what happens is a lot of times people have more movement speed than you. Riven has pretty low base movement speed, and I'll usually end up getting an extra auto attack off if you do that. And a lot of times you lose the trade so much harder if you do that. It usually ends up not being worth it. There's also the fact that if you auto attack them after the third Q, the minions will re-aggro you because you auto attack them. If you end it with a third Q, especially if you hit any minions, then if the minions are CC, they won't re-aggro you until you auto attack them again. Granted, that doesn't really happen here in this situation because if Kled Qs you, he's running after you, right? He's in your minion wave. That's the only reason you can fight him back. Is because he's gonna be in your minion wave when he does it. You're still gonna lose the trade. Obviously, don't get hit by it at level 1. But you can do a standard Q combo right after you knock him up, walk away, and then he shouldn't be able to hit you anything else because his Q shouldn't be back up. But yeah, I wouldn't just walk away because he's just gonna keep auto attacking you, and you might Q away, but then he has like a huge lane advantage. Um, but yeah, definitely go either Longsword or Doran's Blade. I definitely like Doran's Blade in this matchup. I actually win this matchup all the time now. I used to have a problem with it. They did just nerf him too in his early game, which is really nice for Riven because the only way Kled wins this matchup is if he keeps landing his Q. Honestly, it's not like the worst thing in the world anymore for some reason. I don't know what I'm doing with my combos that's like fucking him every time. When he lands his chain on me, if he happens to land his chain on me, I just walk away, walk like back into my minion wave, and right before it connects, like the second part of it, I shield it. I shield that damage, and then I do some Qs, and I'll just CC him and walk away. Usually I end up winning the trade, and I'll slowly get him down the unmounted form, and then you all in him. That's you just have to watch out in unmounted form. In the unmounted form, don't get hit by his gun too much. If you keep getting hit by his gun while your abilities are on cooldown, then he will remount. You do not want him to get close to remount. You want to engage him like before he gets half of it. I don't know exactly how much it is. I just kind of feel it out. But if you keep letting him hit his gun, then he's gonna remount when you all in him, and then you're going to die. You do not win if he remounts most of the time unless you have your ult.
Is cut down good versus him?
I don't really know how that interaction works with this passive.
Because I was watching a Korean Riven main and he plays with it and he says it's like really good.
I know Kled's a bit weird. I'm not sure how I think cut down would probably work better than the way coup de grace works. I'm pretty sure coup de grace is useless against him because he technically goes. I think he goes technically back to 100% HP after he gets unmounted. But I'm not positive on that, so I don't want to say. I just go last stand versus him because I know it doesn't matter how much health he has, and I'm not exactly sure how the interaction works. It doesn't really matter too much. So small runes don't. This bottom line doesn't really do too much. Cut down might be really good versus him, but it still won't do anything if you start with Doran's Shield or Doran's Blade because you're starting with health. It'll only matter if you start with Longsword. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can look up on how that works. It might be super good versus Kled. But definitely don't go coup de grace. I would at least go last stand.
I basically fucked myself in the ass right there.
No, I mean most of it doesn't matter that much. It's good that you win attack speed here. It's super good. The only thing that's super important here is that is just this starting item. Everything else is fine. This is another matchup where W is actually good for fighting. I've been liking the extra point or two, not even just for wave clearing here. When he gets unmounted, a lot of times. Remember, I was saying like you really need to make sure you can kill him in one combo, and a lot of times that extra W damage might be what ends it. Um, so that's another good matchup to try it in. Uh, we're getting a bit lower on time. Honestly, your OPIGG doesn't look that bad when it comes like to build and whatnot. Obviously, the CS could use a bit of work in these games, but that's something that's what I'm gonna look in your game to see what you're doing wrong there. I can't just look at your OPIGGs. I can tell you it's low, but I can't tell you why it's low. And stuff like KDA and kill participation, I don't take that as seriously as most people because I'm not a KDA player. There are definitely situations where it's worth it to die if you get a lot out of it. Especially with Riven, you can't be a KDA player with Riven, or you're just not playing your champion right. Now if you're like an 80 carry, then yeah, or Orion. If you're like a long range caster, then yeah, you need to be a KDA player. Um, anyways, let's go ahead and watch one of the games. So what did we decide we're gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna spectate from here.
Command.